stood on my own front porch, key in hand, and it didn't fit. My mother-in-law had changed the locks on the house I owned. Before I tell you how I got my house back, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you catch what happens next. This one's going to make your blood boil, so let's get into it. My name is Melissa, and I'm 36 years old. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and until about 8 months ago, I thought I had a decent relationship with my mother-in-law, Judith. Not great, but decent. Tolerable, at least. I married her son, Kevin, 6 years ago, and we bought our house together 3 years back. A small brick ranch on a quiet street, with a big backyard Kevin always dreamed about for the kids we were planning to have. Here's the thing you need to understand right away. The house is in my name. Just mine. When Kevin and I bought it, my credit score was better, and we got a significantly lower interest rate that way. We talked it over with our lawyer at closing, and everything was legal and clean. Kevin was fine with it. We were a team. What was mine was his, and what was his was mine. Or so I thought. Judith never liked that arrangement. From the very first family dinner after we closed on the house, she made little comments. Must be nice having your name on everything, she'd say, smiling in that tight way she has. Or, I just think it's important for a husband to provide the house. That's how it was in my day. I let it roll off my back. Old-fashioned mother-in-law, I told myself. Nothing to worry about. Kevin and I built a good life in that house. We painted the nursery a soft yellow when I got pregnant with our son Ethan, who's now 2. We hosted Thanksgiving there. We planted a garden in the backyard. It was ours. Built brick by brick, memory by memory. Then, 6 months ago, everything changed. Kevin was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune condition that required him to travel to Houston for specialized treatment. It wasn't life-threatening, thank God, but it meant he'd be away for 2 to 3 months for intensive care and monitoring. I couldn't go with him. Someone needed to keep working, keep the house running, and take care of Ethan. Judith offered to help. She said she'd come stay with us temporarily, help watch Ethan while I worked, help around the house while Kevin was gone. I hesitated. Judith and I had never lived together, and our relationship, while civil, wasn't exactly warm. But I was drowning. Work, a toddler, a sick husband 3 states away. I said yes. I regret that decision more than almost anything in my life. The first few weeks were fine. Judith helped with Ethan, cooked dinner sometimes, kept herself busy. But slowly I started noticing changes. Small things at first. She rearranged my kitchen cabinets to make more sense. She started referring to the house as Kevin's house in conversations with her friends on the phone. Conversations I wasn't supposed to overhear, but did. She'd say things like, well, once Kevin's back on his feet, we're going to fix some things around here he's been wanting to do. I brushed it off. Grief and stress make people say strange things, I told myself. Judith was scared for her son. I understood that, but then things got stranger. I came home from work one Tuesday to find she'd had a locksmith over. Just changing the front lock, she said casually, stirring a pot on the stove. The old one was sticking. I didn't want to bother you at work. I remember standing there, keys in my bag, feeling a strange chill even though nothing had technically happened yet. You should have asked me first, Judith, I said, trying to keep my voice light. It's my house. She turned around slowly, wiping her hands on a dish towel, and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen from her before. Cold, calculating. It's Kevin's house too, she said. I just want everything ready for when he comes home. Something about the way she said it made my stomach twist. But I let it go. Again, 2 weeks later, I flew to Houston for a long weekend to see Kevin, leaving Ethan with Judith since it was a hospital-heavy trip with tests and appointments that wouldn't have been good for a toddler. Kevin was doing better, more like himself, and for a few days I let myself relax for the first time in months. When I got back to Tulsa on Sunday night, exhausted from travel and emotionally drained from watching my husband go through painful treatments, I pulled into my driveway, grabbed my suitcase, and walked up to my own front door. My key didn't work. I stood there for a solid minute, jiggling the key, convincing myself I was just tired and doing it wrong. But no. The key that had opened this door for 3 years simply would not turn. I knocked. Nothing. I knocked louder. Still nothing. I pulled out my phone and called Judith. She answered on the 4th ring, and I could hear the television in the background, Ethan's cartoons. "Judith, my key isn't working. Can you let me in?" There was a pause, a long, deliberate pause that told me everything before she even spoke. "Oh, Melissa," she said, her voice sickeningly sweet. "I had the locks changed again while you were gone. The old ones just weren't secure enough with a baby in the house. I meant to text you the new code, but it slipped my mind." I stood on my own porch, suitcase at my feet, staring at a door I could not open, in a house with my name on the deed, holding my son captive to a code I didn't have. "Judith," I said, working hard to keep my voice steady, "open the door." Now, another pause. Then, quieter, almost testing the waters, she said something I will never forget. "Melissa, I think it's time we talked about some things. Kevin's going to need stability when he comes home. A place that feels settled. I've been thinking maybe it makes more sense for me to help manage things here for a while. You work so much, and someone needs to really be present for Ethan." My blood went cold. This wasn't about a broken lock. This was a takeover. "Judith, open this door right now, or I'm calling the police," I said. "There's no need to be dramatic," she said. "And then, almost as an afterthought, I'll bring Ethan out to you in a bit. He's just finishing his snack." She hung up. I stood on that porch in the dark, shaking, torn between fury and pure terror. My son was inside a house I legally owned, with a woman who had systematically locked me out of my own life while I was 3 states away caring for my sick husband. I called Kevin immediately, my hands trembling so badly I could barely hold the phone. He picked up, and I could hear the shock in his voice as I explained what was happening. "Melissa, that's insane. That house is yours. Legally yours." "She can't do that." "She just did," I said, my voice cracking. Kevin, even from a hospital bed 3 states away, told me to call the police immediately. Not to wait, not to try to reason with his mother anymore. "Tell them exactly what's happening," he said. "That you're the legal homeowner and you've been denied entry." I called the non-emergency police line, and an officer arrived within 20 minutes. I explained the situation, showed him my ID matching the address, and mentioned I could pull up the deed on my phone through the county assessor's website, which I did, right there on the porch, hands still shaking. The officer knocked on the door. Judith answered this time, Ethan on her hip, looking calm and put together, like she'd been expecting a friendly visit rather than a legal confrontation. "Ma'am," the officer said, "this is Melissa's legal residence according to county records. She needs to be allowed inside." Judith's smile flickered but held. "Of course, officer, there's just been a misunderstanding about the locks. I'll get the new key." She handed Ethan to me the moment I stepped inside, and he reached for me immediately, babbling happily, completely unaware of the storm that had just happened around him. I held him so tight I probably squeezed a little too hard, but I couldn't help it. I needed to feel him safe in my arms. The officer stayed while Judith retrieved a spare key from her purse, a key she had apparently made without my knowledge or permission. I signed a statement documenting what happened. The officer told me quietly, before he left, that if this happened again, it could be considered unlawful entry, and even a form of custodial interference, given that Ethan had been kept inside. That night, after Judith went to bed in the guest room, seemingly unbothered by what had just happened, I sat on my kitchen floor with my back against the cabinets and cried harder than I had in years. Not just from fear, but from betrayal. This woman had been welcomed into my home to help me during the hardest months of my life, and she had used that trust to try to slowly push me out of my own house. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake replaying every strange comment she'd made over the past 6 months, realizing they weren't random old-fashioned opinions. They were breadcrumbs. She had been building toward this the entire time, testing how far she could go while Kevin was away, and I was too exhausted and distracted to notice the pattern. By morning, I had made a decision. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to have an emotional blow-up that Judith could later paint as me being unstable or unreasonable. I was going to be smart. I was going to protect my son, my marriage, and my home the right way. I called Kevin first thing and told him I needed him to be fully on board with what I was about to do, even from a hospital bed hundreds of miles away. His answer was immediate and firm. "Melissa, do whatever you need to do. She's my mother and I love her, but she crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. Protect our family." With that, I opened my laptop and started making calls. First to a family law attorney recommended by a coworker, then to a locksmith of my own choosing. Then, finally, I began quietly gathering everything I would need: documents, timelines, and a plan, to make sure Judith understood, clearly and permanently, whose house this actually was. The attorney I spoke with that morning, a sharp woman named Attorney Danielle Vasquez, listened to everything calmly, and then laid out exactly what my options were. Since the house was solely in my name, Judith had no legal claim to it whatsoever, temporary residency as a guest notwithstanding. What she'd done, changing locks without my permission and preventing me from entering my own home, could actually be classified as unlawful exclusion, and combined with the custodial interference the officer had mentioned, I had more legal standing than I realized. "You have every right to have her removed from the property," Danielle told me. "But let's do this cleanly, so there's no ambiguity and no room for her to twist the story later." We drafted a formal written notice, delivered properly, giving Judith 72 hours to vacate the premises. Danielle explained that even though Judith had been invited as a guest, that invitation could legally be revoked at any time by the homeowner, especially after her behavior had crossed into attempting to control access to the property itself. I called a locksmith that same afternoon, not to lock anyone out unfairly, but to install a modern lock system with a code only Kevin and I controlled, plus a small camera doorbell, so there would never again be any question about who came and went from my own front door. That evening, I sat Judith down at the kitchen table. I kept Ethan occupied in his playpen nearby, calm and steady, while I slid the formal notice across the table to her. "Judith, I know you love Kevin, and I know you're scared for him," I said, keeping my voice level. "But what you did yesterday was not okay. You locked me out of my own home and kept my son inside without my permission. That's not something I can just move past." She opened her mouth to protest, but I held up my hand gently. "I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm telling you that you need to find another place to stay, starting now. I've given you 72 hours, which is more than generous." Her face went through several expressions in quick succession: shock, indignation, and finally something that looked almost like fear as she realized I wasn't backing down. "Kevin is going to hear about this," she said, her voice sharp. "Kevin already knows," I said quietly. "He's the one who told me to do this." That seemed to hit her harder than anything else I'd said. Her son, the person she claimed she was doing all of this for, had chosen my side without hesitation. Judith left 3 days later, packing her things in tense, mostly silent efficiency while I kept Ethan busy in another room. She didn't apologize, she didn't really acknowledge what she'd done wrong, but she left, and when the door clicked shut behind her for the last time, I walked over and set the new alarm code myself, standing in my own kitchen, in my own house, finally able to breathe. Kevin came home 3 weeks later, healthier and stronger, and we sat down together to talk through everything that had happened. It wasn't an easy conversation. He felt guilty for not being there, torn between loyalty to his mother and protecting his family, but he never once suggested I had overreacted. He knew his mother, and deep down, I think he'd always sensed the control she liked to have over the people around her. Judith and Kevin's relationship has been strained since then. She still calls sometimes, still visits on holidays, but there are clear boundaries now. Boundaries Kevin enforces just as firmly as I do. She's never again tried to interfere with our home, our marriage, or our son. mostly because she knows, without a shadow of a doubt, exactly whose name is on that deed, and exactly how far I'm willing to go to protect what's mine. Sometimes I think about that night on the porch, suitcase at my feet, locked out of my own life by someone I had trusted enough to let inside. It taught me something important. Kindness should never be mistaken for weakness, and boundaries, real ones, backed up by action, are sometimes the only language certain people understand. If this story hit home for you, let me know in the comments. Have you ever had to stand your ground against a family member who crossed the line? Hit that like button if you believe in protecting what's yours. Subscribe for more real stories like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.